This is part 2 for the face melting with me recording session. If you haven't seen part 1, you might want to start with part 1. If not, you can still pick it up here. Just know that there has been 3D work and tracking, and then I've exported the EXRs, which is the render from the 3D package, and now we're just going to move into After Effects and Premiere to make this.
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell.
If you have additional questions or comments, just leave them below and I will try to answer them. We're back in After Effects. We've got everything set up. I'm going to deconstruct this composition that is the final composition, and then we will kind of play around with the renders that we have just to show you what it's like to go the opposite way of building it up. Now you can see that this takes a long time to render. So this blue bar right here is supposed to be the progress bar for rendering one frame, but it's not entirely accurate, as you can see. Here we go. But this is what the face looks like exploding. You can see that something is taking 17 seconds to render. That's just how in-depth it gets. That's just how in-depth it gets, unfortunately. But we're going to show them one by one, I think is the goal. So I will turn this off. We have our original shot. Just Mr. Milo. Cool dude. Cool dude. All right, the first thing we rendered were the bubbles. So the bubbles, you'll remember, were just these little white spheres shooting out of his head. Very, very simple, very, very basic. I put a blur on it in this composition, but they still have an alpha channel. So you can see the checker, that's the alpha channel. And now those are in this composition. Okay, now let's talk about the effects I used. So I blurred it even more. I wasn't sure if I was going to have motion blur or not, or do an echo. Echo 1P Sleet on Windows is very slow compared to the Apple implementation of Echo in After Effects, so I'm not using that. But yes, let's go through it and turn these things on one at a time. So you can see the bubbles coming out. They're just simple bubbles. They're in difference mode, so they change with the background, if that makes sense. I do colorama, and the colorama is based on the alpha of the image. We talked about the alpha, and then it just wraps this rainbow, and then I have the rainbow, I think, animated. I'm just shifting the phase times 25, so it kind of shifts the color ranges over time. Then I do another Gaussian blur just to get rid of that hard banding that was there. And then this is a new plugin that came out that's fun to play with called Dropletee. I don't know exactly, but check it out. It's good. And what this is good for is making like liquid trails. So it's doing a lot of this stuff that I want it to do, which is this like oily, oil slick, melty membrane stuff. That's just doing it in the background. That's like, I can't say anything other than pay $50 for this plugin because it's freaking awesome. It's great. Okay, that plugin mostly applies to the alpha channel, so it kind of bleeds out from the alpha channel, and since I have that with my bubbles, it works really, really well. Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about the Dropletee and give the guy a plug. He didn't give me the plugin for free. I bought it. I thought it looked good. Once you have the alpha channel, that's what this plugin particularly works off of, and it does a good job. It seems like it might benefit from having a higher frame rate video that you're working with that will generate these effects, but the amount of thought and controls that are in just the 1.0 release are really amazing. It's really cool. So it does do so much heavy lifting in my demonstration that I just want to pull it out and explain it just in case someone was curious. So let's go into this composition. So we have a little A, and it's just scaling up, and the opacity is turning on and off. Then we also have a little B, and the B is just a solid white B. It's moving around, dancing around on a wiggle. And then we have a C that has a color change to it while it's moving around as well. But now we're going to go to the comp that they are both in, and when let's just hit reset on Dropletee. The live preview is the best way to experience like what it's going to potentially look like. Turn on all your layers, Kale. It does a decent job. It shows you 30 frames, but really you can just turn off live preview and hit auto cache and just play it and see what it does. These are composited over this background, you can see. We're going to try to talk about that. The A, you can see that when it's solid or even just semi-transparent, it shows it. And you can see a little bit of the A and then it disappears. So I like that effect. That's cool to know that you can alter the opacity to change it. It's cool to know that it will just absorb the smoke trail or absorb the positioning pretty much and add a smoke trail. Now it doesn't really like have object motion inheritance where the B would be controlling and like influencing the direction the smoke goes. It kind of just goes wherever it wants. But then also the C has a nice, the color of the smoke on the C is influenced by the color of the letter C. Inside of here, there's some really nice preview preset things. Yet it will have to re-render. So we started with the default, and now you can see here's another setting. I did oil slick because it had this really cool marbleizing of the background almost. It seemed like it affected the background. And then there are massive amounts of controls in here. It's been said that the simulation controls what the simulation does, but then everything on stylization, it does not have to re-render. It just does the effect on it in real time. But if you wanted to, shift colors around or swap the direction of the light or whatever, you could do that. And there's still other effects in there that I haven't got to play with because, again, I was mostly learning. I like to learn for every little project. I suggest other people do that as well, to keep building your skills, keep trying new things, keep getting better. The one thing I think for this plugin that would be cool is if it could actually affect the layers that are below it a little bit more. And that's why I had to do the external additional adjustment layer for the distortion. And that effect might actually be in here. If you look in here, it does have this generates normal maps is how it renders. So, I mean, this effect is still kind of cool. So people who know about relighting things, this could be another little tool to get some relighting going perhaps, or just whatever. There's just a lot of stuff to play with, a lot of fun things, and it was fun to play with on this project. Right, and then I have another colorama on there to like make it a little bit more psychedelic, and I think this one has a color rotation as well. And then we have our final, the channel blur, which just kind of blurs. It should just blur the alpha, so it's not the same. We'll turn it on and off. You can see it just softens that hard edge. So this is the bubbles layer, where we just took, remember, these crappy little bubbles with only like a fall off map on them, and then it becomes this, which is cool. Oh, I got it. So then that becomes that. So that is really good. That's really good. Now let's talk about the face peeling. So the face peeling, we'll remember, let me open this up. We have inside of here, this is our EXR. I'm going to turn off these channels so we can talk about them. I'll talk about that chop out that's happening. This is where we have the EXR, that's the Cryptomatte render, and then this happening. Okay, which is good. And now with the Cryptomatte, what I have it do is ignore wherever Milo's skin texture is, and then we're going to let the video play through, if that makes sense. So now if we come into this composition, you should see, I'm going to turn off this. So now you can see wherever this is where the frozen texture was. We now have his face showing through, and it's still the video. It's still the video. So things like his eyeball is kind of in alignment, and it feels decent, in my opinion. It's not perfect, because at some point these pieces should be pulling off like they did before, but this incorporated the skull into the head a lot better for me. From this portion is what I was worried about, like getting it to match. So from there, let's go back in here, and then we have just like a little bit of blur, channel blur again, and I'm only blurring the alpha just by 1 pixel. It's not that bad. I did not render full 4K. They gave me 4K. I didn't even render 1080. I just rendered 960 by 540 because I was already too many days into this process. But let's duplicate this. Let me reset the Cryptomatte, and we're just going to solo this layer. I'm going to get rid of... Okay, so these colors are different than they were in 3D Studio Max, which is fine. But it has that same information of the skin, the inside of the head, it turned pink, and then the skull and the jaw. So when you're in here, all you've got to do is like click on Cryptomatte, click, hold shift, and then you've got, you've got a matte. You can change it to just the matted colors, the matted RGBA, which is what I used. And you could do it the other way if you wanted to as well. Let's reset it and let's just do this. So then we'd only have the face. So now if I was smart, I would have used this face to go over top at a certain time, like fade on, to keep like his lip and his chin incongruent, so it is congruent with the rest of it. So one thing I talked about in the previous video was how we had, I didn't see it because I was in too big of a hurry, but we have his chin has a hole in it and his forehead has a hole in it. So I tried to use that as a little happy accident, honestly. That's how this little dot ends up becoming like the little sizzle and the first smoke comes out of it, because when that is revealed in this, it is there, but we won't see it till we enable the, again, I use the Dropletee plugin just to like blow out a little bit, a little preview of what's going to come, and then the rest of it happens. And now you can see how much this little stupid plugin is doing quite a bit of taking these pieces flying off and letting them have this like liquidy physical presence, which I thought was really, really awesome and something I wanted to play with. So that's what I did. So we get this whole thing. There's just a deep glow on top and then a vibrance to push the colors even further. Nothing special. Nothing super fancy. Okay, so those are those two layers. And then I've got this, which is a displacement map for the bubbles. And now this is subtle, but I think it adds a lot. So wherever the bubbles are, you can see it like warping the background wall. So we'll turn the bubbles on as well. And there, you can see the bubbles like in that upper left-hand corner or down over here on the couch later on. You see it starting to have an effect on the environment, like here in the couch cushion. Just a little bit of a wobble, which I thought was cool. That was the effect I was going for. All right, so we have that, and then there was the final thing where I just did a little bit of a like smaller particles. Everything was feeling too big and chunky, which is good. You want to start with your big shapes first. And this is just a particle system that is shooting out from inside of Milo's face. It's being matted to layer 14. So let's look at what layer 14 is. Oh, layer 14 is hidden. And that's just this image. So wherever this image is, it's avoiding the other one. I'll turn it on. So this is clipping out the sparkles. So the sparkles don't go in his face pretty much. Otherwise, the sparkles would be like this, shooting out of his face, which I didn't want. So now it feels like it's coming out of his aura with everything else. And then when you unhide everything, it renders the frame, well, the multiple frames. The Dropletee plugin, Dropletee, has to render, has to pre-render everything to get to the later frames. There we go. Okay, and now this box, I do not know what this box is from. I probably turned something off. Don't worry about that. Whoopers! Like I said, not a tutorial. Let's see. Okay, so this layer, I wanted to just like show the face fracture, like where it was coming out, to make this more emphasized. And then that just fades off over time to nothing. But it's added on there, so it makes it a lot brighter. And it hides that portion that I was talking about. And I felt like it did a good enough job that I didn't have to put the texture map actually onto the pieces. So once that's done, that's when I start doing the sound design really. And for me, I try to spend at least an afternoon on everything I animate, just doing sounds. And I think the original version had like a sitar going on, which is a little bit annoying. Let's do this. This is the terrible file structure that I end up with for each episode, but trippy blips is what I first started calling it.
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell. Damn, that graphic is awesome.
So this version of the shot is how I got buy into the shot from SJ and other people. And I was like, this is what I'd like to do. Like, I'm not doing the Stargate mask animation. I'm not doing a rocket head transformation. I want to do the trippy version. So this is where you do the whole process once, knowing that you're going to have to redo it again. You want to do it as fast as possible to get the essence of your idea out visually. And then you just start cleaning it up every additional version.
Shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell.
And I wasn't
Damn,
sure if it was
that
going to fade
graphic is
off or what.
awesome. Holy
And then I
shit, I'm
decided to
glad I'm
just
not
make it bigger and bigger every single time.
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell. Damn, that graphic is awesome.
And now you can see that there are more sound effects being added each version. Some are being taken away, some are being transformed into other versions. It's being played with. But you can see, like, if you just look at the dates between some of these things happening, we have 218, 219. So I'm iterating this much already just in one day.
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell.
And getting closer and closer to the final version. I kind of like this one with the RGB bubbles that are popping. This is how I looked at it the most, so I think that's what feels the most natural to me. But it's not what ended up in the
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell.
We do not condone or encourage the use of illicit substances. Nothing presented here should be interpreted as advice, instruction, or endorsement. We support safe, lawful behavior and strongly recommend keeping all adventures within the boundaries of common sense and the law. While curiosity is a natural human trait, our content is intended to educational and interests. Ignorance is natural educational
I'm at the portion of the edit on this video where I get to where the disclaimer appears, and I want to just talk about it very briefly, which is that not that I was super worried for a gag like this, but I always want to let people know that, you know, maybe we should put a disclaimer on every single video saying what we're not enthused about or how it turned out or we don't want the takeaway to be. But I didn't want the takeaway to be like, oh yeah, you should just get wasted and watch Ancient Aliens and complain about it because Milo does. Like, that's not the takeaway. The takeaway is supposed to be something else, where it's debunking bullshit's more important. So for the disclaimer, I wrote a few sentences for the disclaimer and then had AI like supplement with some more stupid lawyer-esque legalese speak that's just a joke, and I don't know if it's actually funny, but once we had this, then I just again put that into 11 Labs or whatever to get a voice record read from it, and then I just did a time ramp on that and maintained the pitch. It's only 2 keyframes moving left to right with just a little exponential on the last one, so it moves to the left and speed with the words, and that's about all. It's very simple, That I don't know if it's successful, but it's more to say it's more to have a mid-roll disclaimer that we are not encouraging people to do anything bad. We want everyone to enjoy Ancient Aliens however they need to, safely and with a friend, with 911 on speed dial. So there's that version, and you keep tweaking it over time, playing with it a little bit. I'm doing other animations and designs in the background, but the hard work has been done and it's just tweaking.
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy.
At a certain point, you're thrown the color corrected version of the video so it matches the rest of the episode. And sometimes you gotta redo all the work.
Shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that.
But SJ is really good at exporting frame precise stuff, which is what I need to do my work. So I could line everything up.
That would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell.
Getting closer and closer, just a little bit every time.
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell.
We do not condone or encourage the use of illicit substances. Nothing presented here should be interpreted as advice, instruction, or endorsement. We support safe, lawful behavior and strongly recommend keeping all adventures within the boundaries of common sense and the law. While curiosity is a natural human trait, our content is intended to educational and interests. Ignorance is naturally educational or
There was a lot of conversation of how to resolve it, like how to finish it. Do we have it fade off and go back to Milo's face? Do we have it can't really unexplode an exploded face? You can't put those cookies back in the jar.
Damn, that graphic is awesome. Holy shit, I'm glad I'm not tripping for that, or that would have freaked me the fuck out. Holy hell.
That was the final version. Didn't end up doing the tripping absolute balls. I gave the editors the overlay. They maybe missed the note and didn't get it incorporated, but I wanted to have them decide where in time they could put that. Okay, let's talk about some of the successes. I think it achieved a lot of my goals of being pretty psychedelic and trippy and like out of left field and weird, where it's like, what did I see? Did I just see that? I don't even know. You don't have to be on drugs. You don't have to do drugs. I do not do drugs myself. But I thought it was really awesome and successful how the bubbles, the cloth simulation for the face exploding, how they all are kind of like smooshing and dripping and glooping together pretty darn well. I decided I want to use every color of the rainbow. I think I pretty much got every color of the rainbow in there. I like the sound design. I think I did a good job. I went and if you wear it with headphones, you should be able to hear like pretty good left and right bubble pops once in a while, just that are synced up one at a time. And then there's the little fire effects or fireworks sound effects for the little particles coming out, and that's more so to I don't know. It felt like it needed some smaller shapes going on, and those were pretty easy to do. Those were just, I guess I didn't talk about that part. Those were just done with. Plugin is the same as what's it called? Trapcode Particular, but Trapcode Particular you have to pay every month to use it, which is very annoying, and this is a buy it once and keep using it. And this is faster than what Trapcode has become. So that's why I started using it, because I like perpetual licenses. I'm going to go and open up the original one just to get back to ground truth of what I had done. There we go. Now we don't have that weird box. Let's do a tiny little demo about sound. So we have our clip here. We're just going to mute it all the way down, and I'm going to talk about some of the tools that I use. So the very first thing I got that I really liked is Boombox by Mount Mograph. They have a lot of different packs that they released over time. They're still releasing new ones, but they've kind of slowed down. Their model has unfortunately transferred from buy it and you own it to a monthly subscription, of course, like everything. But in here, there's just thousands and thousands of sounds. You click on them and they play, and you get a good preview. So I'm just going to get some sounds and show you what I do. Okay, so like say that that's going to be his face tearing, you know, and then you just, I think you just double click, or oh, you press the add button. There you go, Kale. You press the add button and then it drops it. So this plugin usually puts the highlight of the sound immediately where your playhead is, which is good. This plugin also works in After Effects, which is really nice. And that's where I think it was built to work in After Effects, but doing sound mixing in After Effects, anybody who's done it can tell you that it's probably not the best of ideas. But in here, let's go ahead and get the same sound effect. We have the sound and we just want to put it here-ish. So now I hit add, and here you can see that it has added the sound. It put a marker at the peak of the sound and it put the marker at the playhead. So you want to just get your marker to where you want to put the sound is pretty much where you want to go. So now if I mute this bass layer, press play. This is why you don't want to do audio in After Effects, because it's kind of crappy. I mean, at least in Windows. And it could be because I have Premiere open. It's not working. Some days it works, some days it doesn't work. But the tools are there if you want to fight them. Talking about the audio is very interesting because even if I gave you 100% of the same sounds that I used, I don't think anybody would come up with the same mix. And if I did it again myself, I would never come up with the same audio. That's just how sound sort of happens. A lot of creating collage things happens. If I go into assets, the audio, these are all different sound effects, different. If I go into here, you'll see different sound effects. I can play them one by one. That should be familiar, the little creaking weird sound. That initial like little burst of water sounds really nice. Here's the orange peel. It sounds a little bit sizzly. Now, some of these I didn't end up using, or there was a version of it and then I preliminarily cut it myself. I wanted it to be like this like deep underwater sound and like even have someone who's like talking through a wall who's like, Milo, 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 are you okay? Like emulating it. Someone saying, Z saying like, are you okay?
T-minus 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, that was the first sound that didn't end up in there because it was a little bit too. It didn't quite do what I wanted. I probably could have just found a scene from a movie and just like borrowed the exact same audio. This is how it ended up for this one. I'm not going to be able to demo the sound great. I'll have to do it on another project. I apologize. I mixed the sound. I like how it sounds. You can hate it. That's all right. I achieved my goals for it. I also use Artlist, which I love. I think is pretty good. They got great music, good footage. Sound effects are really, really nice, and also some templates to start building off of. But if we come in here, say we want this like fluttering or just dumping, pouring of water. We also use Storyblocks, or I use Storyblocks, and I use YouTube Sound Library and random downloadings from the internet. The newest one I found is Soundly, which is pretty good. It has a nice little external app that kind of takes that whole little boombox situation and puts it into just a program itself. We can look at this stuff, like look up Flutter. Now, some of their sounds are a little maybe too intense, but it's a place to start and it might be kind of fun. Let's find one. Too intense. Too intense. Okay, actually, this sound, while it's very fast and it's the total opposite of what we want, this is a good one to use as a demo. I'm going to open Premiere back up. All right, now you got Premiere and your Soundly open. You can see that there's these little different pink takes, and while this is all recorded into one longer sound effect, you can just single out individual sounds like this. Drag them into your toolbar, and they're good to go. So I want this to like just be slowed down massively. And this is like, you know, the cheesiest thing, but no, not quite doing what I want. That's okay. Sometimes you just got to get in there. You got to play with it. Let's see here. I, like an insane man, did it in After Effects because I like to sync up the animations with the sounds, and then I usually export those layers of sounds and do another mix inside of Premiere, which makes revisions kind of a pain in the ass, but that's a peek into the workflow for the audio. External sources, sometimes I record my own, but mostly external sources. I'll have a little referral link for my art list. If I get 5 people that subscribe through it, I can get art list credit, which would be cool. No pressure though. I'm laid back. They don't pay me to say anything. I just would like to pay them less money, and that's what you clicking on the link would do. The goal is 10 friends so I can get a free lifetime subscription. I don't really care about their AI tools. I just want access to their nice quality stock goods. So this was a really fun shot to do. It's challenging to show you even the work that I did on it. I know, I apologize for that, but there's a lot of work that goes into just a couple seconds of animation sometimes. Usually we try to peel it back and make it be a little bit more processable and digestible. This is a leap. This is like a far bridge to look forward to working to, or just a fun little challenge for myself, like a little, I call them mini sprints. You got to sprint and challenge yourself once in a while, otherwise you're just not going to get any better. You got to be willing to buy some new tools sometimes and try them out and see if you like them, see if they're worth keeping, or you want to chuck them to the corner and not use them ever again. Just keep making art, have fun with it. You got to have fun. If you don't have fun, what's the point? I was having fun pretty much this whole time. Not every video I do is going to be this complicated or involved. I'll try to do more bite-sized things to say XYZ, whereas it might have reproducible results. This video is to illustrate that my process is involved, that sometimes the programs have to weave together and overlap with some integration from the editors to get the final cut of it, the final color correction, and certain things have to happen in a certain order to get stuff done. But I got stuff done on this shot, and I think it looked great. I mean, I've not seen anything like this on YouTube before, so I thought it was kind of fun. Kind of fun that the viewer would appreciate it. Milo didn't get to approve it. He just got to see it and be like, oh, great. This is what Kale spent a couple days on. I was like, that's what I do. If I don't have anything to work on, I will work on something. I will learn something. I will teach something. I will try something out and keep making things. Make, break, try, cry. Just don't stop. Don't ever stop. Now that people might be curious, I'm going to reveal the grand total of what I paid about, approximately. This is not exactly, but $4,182.80 for all the software that I showed you. I don't think that's exactly accurate, but some of those things changed from you buy it once you own it to a subscription thing, which is a huge pain in the ass because it makes calculating this hard. But it also shows that, you know, if I don't make $350 a month by making art for anybody, I am starting to go negative on my income, which is hard once you add that to, you know, the additional things down here. Main message to people who are interested in making graphics, get in there. It doesn't matter if you have $0 to start up, use Blender, use DaVinci, learn it and make something. If you are making stuff, don't be afraid to put a little bit of money into yourself, into your company, and into your process to improve it and to try new tools. But think of it as a plugin is kind of like a lottery ticket. Don't spend any more money than you're willing to gamble because it might not work. You know, you might just lose it. Let's keep that in your brain every time someone tries to entice you with a spicy little video promoting, oh, you can implement this in your software for just $19, just $200, only $1,000. Sometimes that's not totally true. It's all bullshit. It's just a lie. Try it out. If there's a trial, use it and abuse it, and then don't ever buy it again. Try out the ones that you like, marry those ones, keep them in your pocket, and try to strike up a rapport with the developer so they'd never go subscription. You can tell me honestly in the comments if this was too annoying or if you're actually curious and this is good information to like keep track of what things cost if you wanted to do exactly what I did. In the sound section, I say that there's a lot of eyeballing, and aim for building in a component of happy accidents into your project so you don't try to micromanage or control every aspect without making your total expenditures become a liability. Keep it fun, keep it free if you can, and make stuff.